Okay, well, good evening, everybody. Hear me up the back, as I always ask this question because I just like to know that you guys up the back can hear what's going on. Well, we'll make a start. First of all, thanks as usual to the School of Mathematics and Physics here at Queen's for helping us put these on. It's very good of them to help us out like that, and it's good that we do it, so let's keep going on with that. I'm going to talk about just a few things of a general nature, and then we'll have a look at the stars, and then we'll get on to our main speaker this evening. So just some bits and bobs of business. First of all, keep an eye on our website, as always, for information going on there. We put loads of stuff up there about what's happening, generally in the sky and what we're doing. News, info, live updates and so on. There's a page there dedicated to the Aurora, which may return in the next couple of days, apparently. We have a Facebook group with nearly 1,000 members, which lots of pictures and stuff go up there and general information. Good crack. So join that if you're on Facebook. Join that group. It's Irish Astro is the name of the group. And welcome to Adam, who I see just walked in. We have co-opted a new council member, Adam Jeffers. I don't know if you've seen Adam's work. He's a very enthusiastic member of the Facebook group and puts up lots of extremely good photography there. So welcome to Adam. Okay. The observing, I'll just go through this once more, but theoretically there could be observing this weekend. Now we do have a slight problem in that Ivan, our coordinator, is unfortunately quite badly injured. He's back and can't lift a telescope or anything. So what we'll have a look at that when the time comes, weather-wise and so on. But later on, March 16th, 17th, 23rd, 24th of March, and into April, then we sort of end it in April because there's not enough darkness to go around at that point. And it's really just all based on the weather. We pick the best Friday, and if not the Friday, then the Saturday, and then we go to the following week, all dependent on the weather. And those dates are kind of built around moon phases and stuff, so there'll be a thin moon or no moon around at that time. So that's the observing. Keep an eye on our forum or the Facebook group where we coordinate those. Just some upcoming events, and I think I've probably forgotten one or two, but the Northern Ireland Science Festival is still on, and that's well worth booking up for events there. I'll show you in a moment some of the remaining events that are sort of space related. Then our next lecture here in 2 weeks' time, Dr. Patrick Harkness, one of our members who's at the University of Glasgow. We'll be talking about Mars sample return technology. Those of you that are into the Irish star parties, Cosmos, really, really good star party is on in Athlone, right in the middle of Ireland. And that's over the weekend, 13th to 15th of April. That's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's a talk on the Friday evening, and then activities throughout the Saturday and Sunday. And also I've just heard the date for this year's Solar Fest, down at Dunsink Observatory. Dunsink is a nice easy drive from here. It's just off the M50 on this side of Dublin. And that is on, most of it's actually on the Saturday the 16th of June. Most of it's a Saturday, but there are now sort of events either side of that on the Friday evening and the Sunday. The Sunday is more kind of geared up to young people. If you've got a young family or something, you may want to bring those in at that point. Okay. And keep an eye on the website for more details of that. Now the Science Festival events, there's a few more of those coming up. The Cosmic Cool Car at if that's right, the Marble Arch Caves. Terry's going down to that one on Friday. The rest of us actually are at in Dungannon this Friday at St Patrick's College there, St Patrick's Academy I think it's actually called, in Dungannon. We're there on Friday night as well, but Terry is somewhere else. He's down in the Marble Arch Caves Visitor Centre, which is not quite, it's sort of past, I don't know, Belcoo, Blackland, that sort of way. Yep. I went down there a long time ago myself. There's an event on Saturday, Look Up with Simon Watt in the Black Box. Life as an Astronaut, also same day at Armagh Observatory and Planetarium. So you'd have to choose between those two. and a celestial journey that's on Sunday at the Nerve Centre in Londonderry, if you're in that part of the world. All of that, just look on their website, nisciencefestival.com, and there's stuff there. There's a different one entirely, which I'm going to on Sunday, which is the guy who shoots photography for Blue Planet and stuff. Doug Allen is doing a talk in the Whitler Hall just here. That's my other interest in life. So. All right, I'm going to talk about the sky a bit. I'll just dim the lights down a bit so some people can see. Somebody said to me that they find it a bit difficult to see from the back like this. So we'll have a look. The sun is well into minimum now. Just look at the stats here. There's nothing on the sun today. The current stretch without sunspots, actually it's 4 days because I did this yesterday. And that means that 42% of all days this year so far have had no sunspots. Now, looking at the general sort of trends here, that was naught for several years, or one, you know, and not since 2009 have we been at this sort of level of sunspot inactivity. 71% in 2009, 260 days had no spots. So we're well into minimum, which doesn't mean there's nothing happening, because there was a bit of a coronal hole and a bit of excitement a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, we missed it totally. We're just actually on the wrong side of the Earth to get it, apart from the fact it was cloudy, of course, but that goes without saying. But you know, pictures like this, I think I must move to Manitoba immediately, because skies like that, it's quite good. That's from Alan Dyer in Canada. I think that was Saturday or Sunday night that was taken. And he put a whole load like that. Obviously it came very far south there. That was the result of solar wind emanating from a coronal hole. Okay, planets, there's things happening with planets, and this is another one. This was taken from the Grand Canyon, where I'm going on my holidays. And Venus is back on the scene. We'll see a little bit more about Venus in a moment. Venus is starting to appear after sunset now, and this very, very thin moon up here above Venus was the thing. I had a look for it. I went up I was at work, and I went up on the roof, and I had my camera with me, and I, could have got a picture like that. I didn't. I got a picture like that instead, which is quite good, I think. Pretty, sort of, somewhere in there is Venus and the moon, but really I didn't mind too much with the sunset like that. It was pretty dramatic sky, that is. But that was from central Belfast on Saturday evening, just before I went home. There we go. I did get the moon last night, though. This is last night's moon. This is I'm sort of playing with a new technique of photographing the moon, and what this actually is, that's photographed. It's not a single still picture. That's photographed with a 4K video camera, and there's about 800 frames in there, and then I've used a nice piece of software called the Planetary Imaging Preparation Program or something, and what it does is it actually takes each frame of video, makes it into a still, and then it cleverly ranks them by how much detail is in them. So then you just take the best 50 of them and throw them into AutoStacker, and it adds them all up, and you get a nice sharp picture of the moon, which I think is pretty good. So I'm getting a lot more like that now. I first did this when I got my photo of the International Space Station going in front of the moon, because I decided that the 4K video camera was ideal for that. And then I just sort of found that actually I got a really sharp picture of the moon as well. So I've sort of worked away on that a bit. That was the bright half of the moon. There is of course also the dark side of the moon, and that's pushing the camera to a bit of its limits, because that's 15th of a second per frame at ISO 3200, and then stacked up a bit. But and you can still see that Aristarchus, even on the dark side, is still the brightest crater. That's the moon with Earthshine. And it was actually, Andy and I were talking about this earlier, there's all this here. It was actually hazy last night. It wasn't really very, very clear at all. And a lot of that's just come out on the picture there. So there's that. Now then, there are only this should have been your teaser, Terry, shouldn't it? There are only 4 stars of the first magnitude that can ever be occulted by the moon. And we get 2 within a week of each other. And this is Friday evening. Yeah, it's the 21st there, isn't it? Friday evening, 1741. I don't think, because it happens at about 4:30, that you'll see the moon go in front of Aldebaran, and the reason being that it will be bright daylight there. But this will be into diminishing twilight, and with a pair of binoculars, I reckon you'll probably see Aldebaran emerge from behind the moon at 1741 or thereabouts. And again, if I can manage to do it, I'm having laser eye treatment on Friday, so I'll be as blind. So I'll be as blind as a bat at that point. But
I would say, Paul, with the telescope, you will see.
Yeah, yeah. What I'm going to do, I'll put a camera on it and film it.
Of 100 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I would look for the immersion as well.
Yeah. Think so? Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe if there's clear sky and all that, I'll have a look at that. But I think this should be the easier one to see. Certainly of the 2 events. So that's Friday evening. Then, so I've sort of teased you guys a bit, really. I've sort of told you there's 4 stars that can be, of the first magnitude, can be occulted. Well, Aldebaran is one, Regulus, the other 2 are Antares and Spica. But also if you get up, this is early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, on the 1st of March. And now what this doesn't show, if I stand there, there's a bit of a ring. What this doesn't show, this is Regulus being occulted by the moon, and this is really quite close to the western horizon. So you'll need a clear west horizon to see this, because the full moon the almost full moon is setting at that point. So that's that. But Regulus will disappear behind the moon there. By the time it comes out the other side, it will have set. An approximate rule of thumb that works pretty well for these things is that the moon, which is doing all the movement relative to Regulus in this, the moon moves its own width in an hour, roughly, give or take. Not very much. So this is 6 o'clock, so about 7 o'clock, so Regulus will come out here, but the whole lot will have set by that time. So there are two lunar occultations in a week, so that's pretty good. Just to look at the general sort of southward sky, I never cease to be amazed by those of us who do sort of astronomical outreach. New expressions for common things come up from time to time. And example being the supermoon. There's always been supermoons, i.e. bigger ones and smaller ones, but supermoons now seem to come in 3s for no particular reason. And that's a sort of a thing used to promote astronomy. I think it's all good that it gets people involved. But here's a new one on me fairly recently. This group of stars, my favourite sort of part of the winter sky, because it's got lots and lots of bright stars, all neatly arranged. They're calling this Big G. If you start here and go down here and around here and around here, that's Big G. Who'd ever thought that? But you have there Orion, of course, Betelgeuse and Rigel, brilliant colour contrast between the 2. I always look at Betelgeuse thinking, has that got brighter than Rigel? Is that about to explode any time now? But one day it will, but maybe not in my lifetime. Orion, you follow the belt of Orion downwards to Sirius, brightest star in the sky, but always very low from here, so twinkles away nicely. You follow it up to the other orange star there, Aldebaran, a bit past that to the 7 Sisters, count the 7 Sisters. And then the Big G goes round through Procyon, Castor and Pollux, Capella, and down to Aldebaran. Just so happens that I've done this for tonight, and the moon is sort of over here in Pisces, coming into Taurus. So that's the southern sky. I'll just look a little bit at the eastern sky as well. Looking east in the evening, you'll start to see the springtime constellations coming up. And here is the most famous of them all. This is Leo the Lion. I'm a big fan of Leo because I do actually think it looks a bit like a lion. I can actually see the front paws here and the head here and and the back and the tail, hind legs just here. We'll look more at something much more close up in Leo shortly. And then you kind of have to remember that a Leo is directly below the plough. The 7 stars of the plough there, the 3 in the handle, the 4 in the bucket, the 2 pointers that point up to the pole star, Polaris. And then this is all, of course, well to the left of Castor and Pollux. And there's a lovely cluster called Messier 44, the beehive in between those two. And that's sort of coming up in the east. And those are the stars of spring starting to make themselves known. So I'll sort of leave that bit there and move a bit onwards. Now, we talked about planets. And this is one of those things where I have to cross my fingers because there's a video in here. And as anyone who knows PowerPoint knows that they don't always play. Venus and Mercury will be appearing from about the beginning of March, and they do a little dance in the western sky after sunset. And it looks, if I play this slowly, here it goes. Yeah, there's a little animation of the date there. And a moon briefly crept in there, and you'll see Venus. There you are. Let's do that again because that was quite quick, wasn't it? You're just looking at about 3 weeks condensed into a few seconds here. And you see that Mercury comes up with Venus behind it, then Mercury loops around towards the other side of the sun, and then Venus carries on going up quite a bit. And that's the action of the stars in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Now, I said we'd talk about Leo a teeny bit more. This is one of Adam's photographs. And this is the Leo Triplet, which is sort of down towards the hind legs of Leo. Obviously, Adam has used a very powerful telescope there, but they do fit nicely in the field, those 3. It's M65, 66, and an NGC, the number of which I forget. But they are the Leo Triplet. There is another Leo Triplet. We'll see that another time, maybe. And the other thing, possibly slightly pertinent to our main talk tonight, but there is a supernova in another galaxy in the sky, and this is the galaxy here, the faint outer NGC 3941, and I have no idea where that is in the sky, I'm sorry to say, but it's in Leo, is it? Yep, and he tells me it's in Leo somewhere. And
No, it's not, sorry.
right, okay, it's not. Okay, but more to the point, there's a supernova in that it was actually brighter than most of the galaxy here. Supernova 2018 PV. And I'm told it's possibly slightly on the wane now, but that's absolutely brilliant that Adam's managed to get a picture of that. Very impressive. That's an exploding star in another galaxy. So how about that? Okay. Right, I'm going to just introduce our speaker briefly. I'm going to put some lights on so I can read. Okay, our speaker tonight is Erin Higgins. She's a PhD student at Armagh Observatory and Planetarium in conjunction with Queen's University Belfast and the Dublin Institute of Advanced Studies. She's just finished the first year and is currently writing a paper on the evolution of massive stars in terms of their physical properties such as rotation, convection and mass loss. This will be the main theme for thesis as she studies early stages of massive star evolution, and this will develop in a final year when looking at stellar wind bubbles, which I've never heard of. I'm sure I will have done by the end of today. Okay, so Erin has travelled a great deal. She's been to the IAU Massive Star meeting in New Zealand, a 6-week workshop in Santa Barbara, California, and a recent observing trip to La Palma, amongst other conferences and trips throughout the year, so it's probably safe to say she has a passport. Now Erin is originally from the Maiden City, but has lived in Belfast for the past 5 years, studying her BSc in physics with astrophysics here at Queen's University, followed by PGCE, as Erin enjoyed teaching piano and flute to over 20 students for 6 years, and therefore considered teaching physics as well. And that's why Erin enjoys giving outreach talks and sharing her up-to-date research with the public. So put your hands together, please, for Erin Higgins.